Every afternoon, my cat sits by the window, completely still, staring at the street. Then, at the same time every day, he tenses and runs to the door like there's a threat outside. I thought it was just a weird habit.
My cat has always been peculiar, not in the mystical or elegant way people like to associate with cats, but in something very specific. He keeps watch. Since he was young, he has spent hours sitting by the window, completely still, staring out at the street as if on duty. He doesn't sleep, he doesn't get distracted, he barely blinks. It's as though he's waiting for something important. Whenever I ask him what he's looking at, he simply tilts his head slightly with a superior expression, as if to say, some matters are not for humans. For a long time, I thought it was just another feline quirk, until I started noticing a strange pattern. Every afternoon, around the same time, his body tenses, his ears point forward, and his tail goes perfectly still. Minutes later, he reacts to any noise from the street as if it were an imminent threat. He runs through the house, meows dramatically, and always ends up sitting in front of the door, staring at it with an unsettling seriousness. I stand there confused, asking what's going on, while he maintains that grave, focused look as if anticipating disaster.
Want to know who he's really watching? Like and subscribe to find out.
One day, I decided to investigate. I stood by the window at the same hour, watching the street. There was nothing unusual. People passing by, parked cars, silence. My cat beside me was rigid like a statue. Then a man appeared, walking slowly along the sidewalk. He didn't do anything strange, didn't approach the house, didn't even look up. Still, my cat reacted immediately. He hissed, puffed up, and followed the man with his eyes until he disappeared down the street, as if he had just identified an enemy. What was most unsettling was that he never reacted this way to anyone else, not to dogs, not to noisy children, not to other cats, only to that man. Every time he appeared, the ritual repeated itself. I began creating increasingly absurd theories, from supernatural instincts to my cat being the only one capable of recognizing a villain in broad daylight. The explanation came in the most ordinary way, as most things involving cats do. One day I ran into the man in the building, and he casually mentioned that my cat seemed very attentive. He said that whenever he walked down the street, he could feel my cat's eyes fixed on him, as if he were being evaluated. I laughed and told him my cat didn't seem to like him very much. The man thought for a moment and said that might be because he often stopped by that spot, leaning against the wall, talking loudly on the phone. Many times he gestured, clapped his hands to scare away pigeons, and made sudden movements without paying attention to what was around him. In that moment, everything made sense. To me, he was just a distracted man. To my cat, he was an unpredictable, noisy presence who appeared at the same time every day and disrupted the perfect order of the street. A potential threat. Since then, I've realized my cat doesn't hold ancient memories or mystical grudges. He simply carries out his self-appointed role as a watchman. He observes, evaluates, and decides on his own who belongs in the scene and who deserves suspicion. He still sits by the window, alert, serious, focused, and I no longer question it. I've learned that in this house, neighborhood security is handled by a cat who never sleeps on duty, and who clearly doesn't trust overly expressive humans.
And that's the end of another feline adventure full of surprises. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who also has a cat, because we all know these little felines are always plotting their next mischief. See you in the next story.